Hi, I'm Sam, CEO and founder of Narrative. What if I told you there's a new way of working that solves everything you've come to hate about agile? I mean, no more user story tickets, no more backlogs, no more grooming sessions, and most importantly, no more disconnect between design, business, tech, and the rest of your organization. You see, the reason Agile no longer feels fit for modern software development all comes back down to user stories. At the time, and I'm talking 25 years ago, they were an improvement on months of producing lengthy documentation. But now, we've ended up with no coherent understanding whatsoever. In practice, the simple definition of what we want gets splintered into piles of fragmented user stories that describe pieces of the system but make it harder to see the whole. Worse still, those stories get plopped into Jira tickets for tracking, but lost forever once they're moved to the done pile. Oh, and then somebody new joins your team and wants to understand the true state of your system. Uh-oh, where should they look? Confluence? Miro? Jira? The code? The solution is not about managing complexity. It's about creating simplicity. And the unlock is to replace those fragmented, bitty user stories with coherent narratives that describe your whole system. We call it narrative-driven development. With narrative-driven development, you can stop juggling tickets, backlogs, and documents and align your whole team with a simple, single view all in one place. Here's how it works. Let's imagine a business-critical custom application, something very idiosyncratic to your business. Here, I'm going to use the example of a company increasing a customer's credit limit based on some complex policies. We start with the business and product owners discussing what they want. They use simple language, enter a few prompts, and the app starts suggesting the core narrative flow of their features. From this suggestion, it's easy to adjust anything that they need. We then create a narrative and start to slot the moments into this narrative one by one so that they make sense chronologically. And then we start to invite other members of the team to collaborate. We might start by bringing the user experience person. Since the first moment says a customer requests an increase to their credit limit, well, that requires the account page to do that from. And then from the account page, we will want to take an action. So we'll create that action to request the credit limit increase. And then we realize that we need some data for that page, like the customer details. So we'll make sure that we can fetch those. We can then bring in more members of the team. Perhaps we'll bring in somebody from a business side that can help define the business processes required, knowing that we need to call out to Experian, for example. A technical person may come in and say, hey, you've actually called these the wrong way around. It is more optimal to work on the account history before we start making calls out to Experian. And this is the process. We collaborate moment by moment, making sure that we've got all the different perspectives around this narrative represented, from the user experience to the individual moments down to the systems underneath. Now, stickies alone are not enough to describe a system fully. You need something more. And this is where specs come in. Specs are attachments that we can add to any of these constructs, whether they're front-end constructs or back-end constructs, business processes, or otherwise. We can add specifications to any of them. And instead of us starting from a blank slate, the AI can help us suggest the specs for that part of the system. It has enough context from the narrative, so it can suggest pretty good things. And now we get into dev mode. When I flip this switch, the interface becomes more advanced. We now have more constructs that we can use. There are software modeling concepts, and you can see there are additional components like schema and query. I might create a resolver, for example, that fetches the customer account details. In that resolver, I will want a schema. So I will create one, and then I will ask the AI for help. Again, because it has context, it is able to suggest for me a schema that is a starting point. And it will also suggest an implementation. Here, the system doesn't have enough details about the underlying systems, so it gives you placeholders. But if it had more information, it would give you more complete code. From here, you can create a pull request and carry on coding in your favorite tools. Let's now turn off the dev mode and minimize this narrative and fast forward to a time when we have many more narratives. For the first time ever, you finally have one single source of truth for your whole system, catalogued by coherent narratives that's readable by your whole team. Thanks for watching. My team and I are super excited about the impact that narrative-driven development is going to have on the industry. If you'd like to be part of this narrative, then join our beta or join our community by clicking the links below.